Your chanter changes over time. That's something obviously we talk about in tons of depth in the course, but just a little more detail. So, how did you discover this? Because I'm sure it's the same as for myself and everyone else. It's like tuning is going great, and then all of a sudden, it's wait a minute.
Yeah. So as a kid, I would tune my drones to the low A and it would be sounding great for the first maybe even 40 seconds. And all of a sudden I would have to blow less to get in tune.
Aha.
And that really was annoying. So it got to the point where I didn't want to blow that far because I had this window. And initially I was blowing Q to get in tune. And slowly over time, over the 40 seconds to maybe 2 minutes, I had to keep them blowing less and less until I got to the point where I was almost cutting out. And I was like, okay, so I have to do something about this. And I asked my tutor at the time, I said, so what do you do now? And he's like, well, you do the obvious. You just move your drones down, right? Because your chant is getting sharper over time. And I didn't know about the temperature, how temperature can affect things and how humidity can affect things and everything at the time. I just knew that time in general was a factor. So you start flatter and then you get sharper. That was the rule number one. So I just moved my drones down.
Just while we're on the topic, it just reminds me of a little bit of a tangent as well, which one of the things that I learned over time was not only does my chanter sharpen up over time, but then if I'm going to compensate for that with my blowing, I risk my chanter choking more and more as time goes by. So because we're not blowing perfectly steadily, as you're decreasing the blowing on the chanter to keep things in tune, but you're also increasing the risk of a choke. We have to figure out some sort of, some sort of method for this. And then the other thing, and then later in life, realizing as I compensate downward, the tonal quality of my chanter decreases as well. The timbral, the richness, there's less energy going through the reed. So the high G starts to get thin and the high A starts to crow and it gets very strange. And so you can't play that game forever where you're decreasing the blowing as your chanter increases in pitch. Like you have to be willing to reach up and make those changes and possibly even, and you could tell me if you disagree, feel free, but maybe in some situations you're purposefully tuning the drone sharp in anticipation
It's
of a long performance.
always,
Yeah.
absolutely. This is getting like a few more years down the track after I learned the subtleties of tuning. But yeah, every single time, or I'm always blowing into tune now. And I was stubborn as an 18-year-old because I'll play before a performance. And you know how like your pipes get, you start out here and then you get sharper and sharper and sharper, sharper. And then it starts getting incrementally less sharper
Yes.
over time. And then it starts to flatten out.
Love it.
So I'll get to that. I get to that curve and I get to this part of the curve and I think I'm here, but I'm not. I'm not there yet. And then I would compete as an 18-year-old thinking I knew everything. And the amount of competitions I lost by choking, it's so frustrating now when I could have just tuned it a little sharper. And I knew about this. I knew about tuning it sharper back then, but it was a constant game of figuring out how sharp I had to go in order to get through a 3-minute set with the drone reads and the chain reads and my bag setup at the time.
Mhm.
And yeah, and I never got it right for a long time. I kept on getting to the end of the performance and I'm like, oh, it sounds so good. And then I end up backing off to get it really in tune
Yeah.
and then choke in the reel of an MSR. I'm like, damn it.
If you're interested in hearing the complete 1 hour interview, you can do so as part of the all new Piper's Dojo tuning suite, just released at the dojo here recently. The tuning suite contains detailed theoretical, practical courses. It contains a 90-day tuning plan. It contains a distillation of basically everything you could ever dream of needing to know about tuning, including transcripts from the interviews here in this textbook. It includes a how to tune your pipe band course, and it includes a robust triple your money back guarantee. Basically, our promise to you that within 90 days of doing our training program and soaking in the course, you'll be a great tuner. So I'd be honored if you went to check that out at pipersdojo.com/tuning now. And if you purchase before October 22nd, you can receive $80 off and a couple of other great bonuses as well. So head over to pipersdojo.com/tuning today. Meanwhile, thanks so much for listening and we'll see you next time.